Hello and welcome back to the Scotch Malt Whisky Society. I'm Duncan Gorman and today we're here at Falkirk Distillery where we're going to uncover what makes this new distillery unique, what inspired the family venture, as well as its connection to an ancient Roman wall. Falkirk Distillery opened its doors in 2021 after local businessman George Stewart dreamt of drinking a dram he could call his own. Today we'll be chatting with his daughter and co-founder Fiona, as well as distillery manager Stuart Hughes, to learn what makes this distillery unique.
These stills were Cappadonna's stills, Glen Grant No. 2, the sister distillery. There was actually 4 stills, 2 wash and 2 spirit. 2 have ended up in Belgium. But George managed to get these 2.
And they're making beer now, are they?
Apparently, I don't know, I haven't Wikipedia it. I don't know the actual name, I just know they went to Belgium. Yeah. But I heard there was some beer they were making in them. But beautiful stills. Copper is absolutely vital in the production of Scotch whisky, because you know, when the vapours hit the copper, it takes out the impurities and only ethanol goes over.
You have a real mix between old and new in this distillery. Yeah. Could you tell me a little bit about that and what it means to Falkirk Distillery?
Well, we've got the traditional mash tins. I say it was ex-Cappadonnach, huge history in there. The guys that must have operated that will be chuffed to bits that it's still going. I would imagine the Cappadonnach was such a lovely dram. We have the original plough and rake system that's still in the mash tin. So everything's really, really traditional. The only things that are modern are the likes of our modern valves and their modern washbacks. Nothing wrong with having a bit of modern technology. The stills as well, many, many years old, tried and tested, beautiful dram that comes off them. So the tradition that goes with the new equipment is just ideally suited for Falkirk.
Could you walk me through what the notable points are in your production process and what the sort of characteristics are that you're aiming for from your new make?
Well, notable points would be getting the correct amount of sugars that we need for fermentable carbohydrate, picking the right yeast, getting the right fermentation time, and running the stills very, very slowly. We're looking for a really light, fruity, typical lowland spirit, so we accentuate the fruits and the lightness, and the shape of the stills will encourage us. We've got the tall stills that gives an awful lot of copper contact, which lets the fruits through and takes a lot of the impurities out.
My dad, I'll refer to as George, he was involved in the water industry a long time ago, compliments of a friendship with a gentleman called Alan Rutherford, who's given an OBE for his services to the whisky industry. And from there, it kind of grew organically, didn't it? So yes, the water, artesian well on this site, and then thereafter, obviously, it was almost like the tail that wagged the dog, i.e. we had the water supply, good quality water supply, and then thereafter, he decided to go into distillation, and we've never looked back, have we,
nope,
George?
Correct, yes.
So welcome to Falkirk Distillery's No. 1 warehouse. This is where they store all the casks. We've got about 90% bourbon casks and 10% sherry casks. Spirit comes from the still house, from the intermediate spirit receiver into the SRWV, and the strength's normally around about 71%. We'll reduce that down to cask strength by using our borehole water. As I say, we don't put Towns water in it. We keep out the chlorine and the fluoride, etc. We just keep the natural minerals in it. Goes into the cask, where I often refer it to as a caterpillar going into its cocoon, and then some years later it'll emerge with the wings opening up like a beautiful butterfly. You see all the lovely colours and beautiful aromas. What happens when it's in the cask actually gives it about an extra 70% of its flavour profile. When the temperature changes from day to night and season to season, the air goes into the casks and it starts moving the whisky about, and the whisky will go into the wood and back out of the wood, and this is what creates the flavour. And the best way to do that is to have this dunnage style warehousing. I feel it's better than the racking or the palleting system. The proof of the pudding is when you open up the barrel and that butterfly is released.
So you have alluded to it a couple times during this conversation, but you did run across quite a unique problem in the construction of the distillery, the Antonine Wall.
If you look out the window, you can see where the Antonine Wall was. You can actually see it from here. And of course it got status as a World Heritage Site, so that gave us a lot more obstacles to try and overcome. I think, to be honest now, some of the people who were against it, actually even Historic Scotland, Now that they've been said it's an asset and it's turned out good, it looks the part, and I think it adds to the history of the town as well.
Yeah, in terms of heritage, you know, it definitely, there's more that can be done in terms of branding on the back of that, even though we wouldn't have said that a few years ago. But there's a gentleman that will remain nameless who was an archaeologist for Falkirk Council, and he objected to the planning application for a number of years because of obviously the proximity to the wall. And he came out through an invitation of myself to see us about 3 years ago. And he said, you know, I never thought I'd say this, but this is magnificent. This is history in the making.
Moving on to your maturation process.
Yep.
What are you looking to achieve here, and where are you sort of leaning towards in the spirit that you're going to produce there?
Well, we have 90% bourbon barrels, so it's more or less going to be the bourbon route that we go down. We'll have the special cask like the Olorosos and the sherries for the distinctive buyer. But bourbon is going to be the distillery way forward.
And are you looking to sort of hone in on one characteristic, or are you maybe looking to experiment with a few different flavours?
At the moment, we're just honing in on the one characteristic. We need to make a name for ourselves and show the world how good Falkirk Distillery really is. After that, we can start different expressions, whether we use peated malt or different casks, maybe wine casks or what have you. But at the moment, we need to make a core brand, which will be the bourbon brand to the bourbon cask to start with.
Great. And last question, are there any hints as to when we first might see a Falkirk Distillery bottling?
Well, the first bottling we're hoping to do around about September time. It will be the inaugural 3-year release. We've had many people wanting to sample Falkirk whisky, so I believe that the owners, George and Fiona, want to tease them with a 3-year release, which hopefully will be around about September time. But we'll smell the barrels just to make sure that it's ready for the release.
Great. That's everything.
Brilliant.
Thank you very much.